Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Molly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Paulie Howard's still out. Fake New York/Minnesota accent shelved, so it's still just me. We go to win some. Kings -4.5 yesterday in the NBA Summer League, bet up to 6-point favorites. Beat Cavaliers, finished 4-0 in Summer League play, but guess what? They are not locked into the playoffs quite yet. So if you got a King Summer League ticket to win it all, do not rest, as they are not locked in.
Point differential.
Yep, point differential makes it all exciting. See, Summer League is fun. How many games have you watched? 10? I'm thinking 10.
I've watched minutes of a couple.
Okay, all right. That's more than I expected, actually. Bulls +4.5 to +2.5. Market was all over them. They won outright against the Bucks yesterday. Good win there. Nets flip from a small dog to a small favorite. Beat up on the Magic. Get a good one, 94-90. And then Jazz open up as the underdog. Flip to a 4-point favorite. Beat the 76ers by 10. So good on the market there. We head out to the video. What do we got? This is roulette in a good way. Oh, look at the dog. Look at it. Oh, look at the smile. He's so cute. Oh, it just breaks my heart. Isn't this wonderful?
I do love when dogs have those like human-like smiles and just like, you can tell he really likes it.
For our audio audience, it is, I'm not good with dogs. Is that a pit bull of some kind?
It is, yes.
Getting showered with a fine mist from a hose and giving them a nice smile.
And you know that little pit bull smile, right? Like, it's very cute.
Sure.
I love that.
Do you have dogs?
I don't. I wish I could.
What do you mean? You're an adult with free will.
No, I know, but I am in a relationship with somebody that would have to do all of the legwork for said dog for how many weeks of the year that I travel, and it seems a little bit unfair. Plus, we are in the era of our life where we have a white couch. So.
Oh, okay. I've never had a white couch, never will. Too dangerous. Don't like to wear white either. All right, lose some. Spilling on it would be lose some. Fever at Liberty.
Which Olivia Jordan, my little sister, definitely did spill a full orange Gatorade on it.
No
so
shot.
there we go.
Of course, it's orange. Fever Liberty total 165.5, bet down to 162.5. So, of course, we get 175 points yesterday in the WNBA finale. And how about this? People complaining about Shane Gillis' monologue yesterday during the ESPYs. Did you see any of this?
I did. So how much of it did you watch?
I watched most of it.
Or did you watch the clips?
No, I think I've watched about 5 minutes of it. When I saw a 9-minute video, I was like, I'll watch this for a little bit.
So there were 2 WNBA jokes for sure that made people real mad.
Yes.
One about Caitlin Clark, though, that I thought honestly was hysterical when he was talking about banging threes.
Yes.
Like, come on.
It was great.
It's hilarious. Also, what was the one he did about Bill Belichick? That had me howling. And this one didn't make the rounds as much as some of the other ones did.
He tied in Shohei Ohtani being a great pitcher, a great hitter, and also I think he called him a great bookie. And then, of course, he followed it up with a bookie is what Bill Belichick reads to his girlfriend every night.
And then, put the cap on it of, let's not hate on the guy for dating a hot 24-year-old. He won 6 Super Bowls. If you won 6 Super Bowls, you probably wouldn't be dating or married to, I think he called her a dog wife or something. Yeah. So people got real mad at that one too. But then he goes, Disney approved that. I don't know why they did. Just want to let you know. So I thought, yes, there were some awkward moments, but I think you also, as a host, have to be prepared for that in that type of a room.
So that I've seen Gillis before. I'm actually a fan. To me, my biggest complaint was his delivery.
Yes.
He was
very awkward.
He was very awkward, and then he could tell, and you could tell if you're watching that the jokes weren't really hitting. You don't need to explain, just go.
No. Have you ever seen the Nikki Glazer stuff that she's hosts? You just have to go into the room knowing nobody's really paying that much attention to you, and so if they are or not responding to you like they would if you're going to a comedy show, right? It's a very different environment for that. So the fact that he kept acknowledging it because he was awkward, that made it more awkward.
I think my favorite was just because of the follow-up. It was the Megan Rapinoe joke. Which he followed up with, really? We're going to act like she's a good time, huh? Okay. That was good. It was a good monologue.
There were a couple moments, at least I found very funny.
I hate comedy snobs. They're much like Ortega when it comes to movies. They're insufferable. But I will go to the bit, which is comedy is meant to ruffle feathers and offend. You know what you're getting into.
And you're supposed to toe the line and make people a little bit uncomfortable, but it's all jokes too at the end of the day. They're jokes.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in the audience. I'm also disappointed in Stormy Buonantony here.
Why?
Listed this in bad beats. So
I did put this in
Coldplay, a wonderful, wonderful band that I couldn't name a song of. But apparently, you see this video here, a couple caught on the Jumbotron. They look ashamed. Why? Well, that is a cheating couple. That is the CEO of, is it Astronomer, I believe is the company. And that is his mistress. Both are married. You see the other woman laughing over to the side. She apparently was the newly hired, was it head of HR?
So he
was also apparently also in on this.
This is hysterical.
Stormy believes this is a bad beat, by the way, which speaks to her morals. It speaks to her morals that she believes this is a bad beat. I call this a winsome for those of us in loving relationships.
Can you imagine finding out that your husband's cheating on you, like based in this scenario?
Wouldn't it be worse if you wanted to go to the concert too?
Yeah.
You're like, I wanted to go to Coldplay.
No.
You told me we
Honey,
couldn't go.
We can't go to the concert. I got a late night at the office. That's what happened.
I will.
But so this is the funny part, the funnier part. Two things. Chris Martin says when they're shown up on the board, either they're having an affair or they're very shy. Mm-hmm. And then turns out they are having an affair. And that, yes, the woman here is the chief's people officer, which is the head of human resources for said company. I looked at her LinkedIn page, self-described as someone who wins trust with employees of all levels, from CEOs to managers to assistants. Oh, yeah.
Not listed her husband. Not at all.
You
I will
are
say,
very trusted.
To the bad beat, I mean, where was this at? Because
Gillette Stadium.
Okay, so that is kind of a bad beat in that to be at a concert like this, which I would assume was very packed, with your mistress, to be the couple shown on the Jumbotron. I mean, that's kind of funny,
but also,
though.
correct me if I'm wrong, and for anyone who has not seen this video, just like go on Twitter and refresh your feed because it'll be there with somebody talking about it. But if they just didn't move, if they didn't react to it in this way, it probably wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Yeah, probably. I would assume so.
Like if they're just standing there all well and good, nobody's questioning this to this extent.
I mean, I'll say this too, because you're very anti-robot. I'm going to tie this in really quickly.
Very anti-robot.
And data and all these things. How quickly they found out who these people are.
Internet sleuths are insane.
None of us are safe. They all have your information. You're all toast. So just give it up.
Don't like it.
All right.
They found it fast.
Bad beats and love and monogamy. Brought to you by the Sharp Plays. Before the line moves, Sharp Plays are already there. Don't follow the market. They help shape it. You're not going to outsmart billion-dollar sports books or full-time sharps all by yourself. But with the Sharp Plays, you don't have to. Backed by advanced AI, the one we trust. An insider source is the Sharp Plays delivers the kind of edge that serious bettors count on every day. You'll get free betting reports straight to your inbox or X-Feed. Not some side hustle, okay? Sharp Plays have been proven it since 2011 with documented results, public logs, and transparent receipts. SharpPlays.com, trusted by pros, watched by the books. SharpPlays.com, stay ahead of the line.
So serious question, do you really not know any Coldplay songs?
I know one. Like Coldplay is one of those bands where if you played me the music, I'd be like, "Oh, that's Coldplay." Okay. But I cannot list off any of their songs. One of them is it Yellow? Is that the one they were listening to at that point? I think is that a song?
I think so.
Okay. See, like you're with me.
I know a handful of songs. I'm not good with.
Are they the Bad
yes,
Day
Yellow.
people?
Yellow is one of their songs.
No.
I know like "Fix You" and "A Sky Full of Stars."
Okay. So the one that goes like "My life is brilliant." Oh, that's not Coldplay.
I don't know what you just sang. That was
"You're beautiful." That one.
No,
that's not
what?
Coldplay. That's not Coldplay.
No, I don't think so.
How can you speak so surely and then follow that up with?
Who sings that though? That's what I'm trying to think. James Blunt.
Okay, maybe I don't know. My music
You're
knowledge.
Beautiful, it's true.
Yeah,
that song,
that one.
Right?
Yeah,
that's James.
My music
Blunt,
knowledge in that area is not particularly great.
I'm not
music
good.
in general, I'm not good with.
I've never been good with like matching song titles and artists and all that stuff. I'm very similar in that vein with you, but I'm married to somebody who will listen to 2 beats of a song and know exactly who it was, the year it was produced, album title, all of that. And I'm not for that. There's people. I think that would be. Isn't that a game show? Isn't there a game show like that?
Shazam apparently is the name of that. Yeah.
I feel like that would be...
Not to be confused with the Genie, I believe, that Shaq played in the 90s.
Maybe if you didn't do it that way, where it's not just like a couple notes, but if you played a song and it's like a competition of who can guess the song faster for the whole thing, I feel like that would be interesting.
Kazam, not Shazam. I apologize.
Oh, okay. Stormy Buonantony.
You never saw Kazam?
Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Is that the Shaq movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that, but I was like, a young child. I don't know. Now he's too busy trying to beat up Robert Griffin III. So he's in a very different phase of life right now.
Brian Ortega, what would your guess be on the Rotten Tomatoes movie review for Kazam? 5%. That's pretty poor.
Speaking of that, actually, you went yesterday to go see Superman. But of like Rotten Tomatoes scores, because I got bad intel. I was under the impression that Superman was bad based on so many of the things I had seen. And then somebody was like, oh my gosh, no, like this is actually great. And then you told me. So
my sports analogy, and Ortega, the movie snob,
I haven't seen it.
My sports analogy was that the movie was a leadoff double. Very solid, very good. You would take that in most scenarios. 2 thumbs up, really enjoyable watch over the course of 2 hours. And if you enjoy that genre, which I think, talking to you a little bit, you've watched a few of those movies, you're kind of in there. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, so that's my thing. I think a lot of the people that probably didn't like it are very big into like the history of the movie and the comics that I don't have that knowledge of. So I just like a movie for what it is, and maybe some other potentially political reasons that we don't need to get into. But you can ignore things and just watch a movie for what a movie is.
No, it's 2025, Stormy. What are you talking about?
I haven't seen it yet, but I do.
We've got to be mad at stuff.
But I do kind of want to. Like the Superman story in general is a good one. I like it.
Nah, we got to be mad at things.
What's your favorite superhero?
Oh, it's easy. There's no question. It's Spider-Man.
System. But it's specifically the Tobey Maguire one.
No, I thought you were just talking about in general. Spider-Man's the best superhero. Like, there's no question about
Why
it.
do you think that?
What do you mean, why? I mean, look, we're on the Sports Betting Network. I don't want to break down the intricacies of why Spider-Man's the best superhero of all time, but he just is. Okay.
Well, I'm curious your guys' opinion. If you want to join in the conversation, tweet at us at MeJVT, at Storm Buonantony, at VSiN Live. I don't know who the best superhero is. I'm very curious your guys' opinion. Do you stand with JVT that it's Spider-Man? On that note, we are going to shift gears into a little Major League Baseball talk next. Tanner Kern of DraftKings is going to join us and do a little preview of the second half. Also, some UFC talk, UFC 318 coming up on Saturday. And I think he might agree with your thought process on Max Holloway. Stick around. We're Follow the Money after this.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Betting on sports, why not try the races? First Bet lets you wager on hundreds of horse races every day from top tracks across the U.S. and around the world. You can sign up at firstbet.com. That's the number one, stbet.com. Use the promo code VSiN200. That'll help you claim a 20% rebate your first 60 days up to $200. Again, that's firstbet.com. The number one, stbet.com, code VSiN200. Alongside Jonathan Von Tobel, Stormy Buonantony with you back here on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, channel 158. The MLB All-Star festivities are in the rear view. The second half is upon us. And with that, time to check in with DraftKings betting analyst and content creator Tanner Kern, also co-host of the Ride the Line podcast. And we talk this time of year a lot about utilizing the summertime to prep for college football and NFL, but albeit a more condensed time frame. I think for Major League Baseball, this is a good time also to reset as we get set for the second half of the season. So how much have you the last couple days just been diving into different division markets, awards, any of that stuff leading into the back half of the year?
A lot. You know, it's a good time to reset, but it's also a good time to win money on MLB futures to build a bankroll heading into football season. There's a lot of things that I do like right now. Red Sox to win the American League East is a potential bet for me. 3 games out right now, playing really good baseball. I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up heading into the second half, but that's a team that's caught my eye. Also, I like the Giants to make the playoffs right now. They've gotten absolutely nothing from Rafael Devers. And if he starts to hit, I think this team's really going to come along well. They have the pitching. They have exactly what they need around Devers. They just need him to hit better than 202, I believe, since coming to San Francisco. So those are 2 things that have caught my eye lately over this past week.
To the point of the American League East, if you like Boston to maybe take that division, are we expecting 3 teams out of the East? What do you make of that dynamic with Toronto and New York, and where the Yankees even stand to?
I think the Yankees are in a really good spot right now. They're only 2 games out of the lead of the division, and we know they're going to spend money. That's the biggest thing that you want to look at this week. Which teams are going to spend at the deadline, and which team have the finances to be able to spend and get the big name players. And the New York Yankees obviously have that right now. So 2 games out of first place, you're getting minus 130 on them to win the division. Not a bad bet there. Toronto, I do think they're going to slow down the second half. I mean, nobody expected a lot from them coming into the season, and they have just exceeded expectations. But when you look at their run differential, It's not massive. So I do think we're going to see a little bit of a decline in the second half. You got the Red Sox, who obviously have one of the most talented teams in the American League. People were expecting them to be this team early in the year. Obviously, it didn't happen, but that's a team that they build like they're supposed to and add at the deadline. They could make some noise. And then the Tampa Bay Rays, they just continue to win games. Their bullpen's been a little concerning lately. I do think they have to fix that coming into the second half of the season. But if they're able to get that done, we know they just find ways to develop players and win with underrated stars. So I do think we're getting 3 American League East teams at least in the postseason, just because you have 4 really quality ones right now. So I'm thinking definitely 3, 1 with the division winner and then 2 with the wild card.
And I certainly like the number you mentioned on the American League with the Red Sox. Is there another American League team that you think can really contend for the pennant when all said and done?
I think the strongest team right now is obviously the Detroit Tigers. The pitching rotation is stacked. You have Skubal, Flaherty, Reese Olson, Casey Mize. I think you have to look to add another high leverage reliever. If you can do that, you're in really good shape. They're 6 in runs right now. They're 9th in team ERA. And this is a team that, they've just built consistently with really good prospects. They've added talent when they've needed to, and they are clearly the best team in the American League right now. I think the Yankees, we all thought the Yankees were a little fake last year, and they survived in a weak American League. This year's American League is very weak. So if the Tigers do go out and make a big splash, which they're very well capable of, I think they'd be the clear front runner. But knowing that the New York Yankees are going to spend at the deadline, you still have teams like the Houston Astros and a lot of underrated teams in the American League East right now that can contend for a pennant. I think it's a very wide open race, but the number one team in my mind right now is Detroit.
In the National League, Padres are a pretty interesting group, 52-44, but just have outscored their opponents by 7 total runs so far. What is our expectations for the Friars as we head into the second half?
I think the Padres got to make the playoffs. You look at the team that they have a a lot of talent. I hate to see, as a Boston guy, I hate to see Xander Bogaerts just getting dragged through the mud all the time. But, they got to start hitting a little bit better. They need to add a proven bat. If they do that, they're in really good shape. 6 in team ERA right now. So the pitching has been good, but I also think they could use another frontline starter, and just plenty of capable bats throughout that team. If they can continue to hit and be a little more consistent they're a really deadly team. We saw it in the playoffs last year against the Dodgers, almost took them down, really gave Los Angeles a fight. And it's probably going to be them or the Giants for that final wild card spot. I like both of them, but if the Padres do add a little bit, I probably like them just a little bit more because they do have a lot more experience on that team. So it's playoffs or bust right now for the Padres in my mind.
Tanner Kern of DraftKings joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. I know for me personally, my biggest disappointment of the first half has been the Atlanta Braves, who now actually sit behind even the Marlins in the NL East right now. Is there another team that you thought was going to be better in the first half that really is just kind of sloughed it up like the Braves have?
Well, I would have said the Red Sox if it wasn't for the 10-game winning streak to end the first half. So that's definitely one in my mind. Looking at the board right now, I think the Cardinals have surprised a lot of people. They've been better than expected, but that was a team that I thought was going to be worse. Potentially the Cincinnati Reds, even though they're still in the playoff picture, I thought they were going to be much better than the Cardinals coming into this season. So, looking at it right now, my answer would have been the Red Sox recently, and then the Braves are obviously the biggest team that, most people are going to say for disappointments right now. But we'll see what the Red Sox do in the second half of the season. If they fall off, they will definitely be right up there with the Braves for me for biggest disappointment.
All right, real quick before we move on to UFC, as you look at the second half, are there any signs that you look for to fade some teams? Like, for example, I think I'm an Angels fan, but I do think that betting under an adjusted win total for them seems like it makes a ton of sense because they got a lot of signs that they might start to fade. What are some of the statistics? What do you look for in terms of a profile for a team that might fade in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect answer right there with the Angels. Looking at the teams that their win totals were early in the season, seeing where they're at right now, and then seeing what they're going to do at the deadline. There's a lot of teams out there that are in competitive positions, but when it comes down to it, are they going to put the money out there to spend to be successful in the second half as other teams get stronger? So if you're looking at a team right now who's on the cusp of the playoffs, we'll take the American League, for example, right now. A lot of teams in that 3.5 to 4 games back range, Texas Rangers, Minnesota Twins, LA Angels, right? Those teams probably aren't going to go out and spend. You might get a better number if you take the under right now rather than after the deadline if they start to sell off. So find those teams that you think are going to sell, but maybe might be question marks where you're going to get a good win total and then go under on that adjusted number.
Okay, UFC 318 coming up this Saturday night in New Orleans. The main event, Dustin Poirier fighting one last time in his home state against a guy who he introduced to the promotion back in 2012, Max Holloway. Poirier 2-0 in their series, submitting Holloway in 12, won an interim lightweight title via decision in 2019, but it was a very different fight. Do you think we get another different fight in this finale tonight? I mean, Saturday, excuse me.
I'm all over Max Holloway in this fight.
Okay.
I'm going to feel like the biggest idiot in the world if Dustin Poirier comes in, looks like he did in the first two fights and wins it. I just don't necessarily see that happening. Max did land some shots in the second fight that they had that made some impact, but overall, when Dustin was landing, it was really making Max uncomfortable. Even with his jabs, it felt like Max was getting hit by a bowling ball. So I just don't see that being the case here. This is the first time where I really feel like Max is ready to fight at 155. When you look at the line, it's really interesting. Dustin won the first two fights. He's at home in New Orleans in a retirement match. Why is he an underdog? Well, he's an underdog because Max Holloway's fighting style has really evolved over time. I think we're going to see the version of Max Holloway that we got in the Justin Gaethje fight, where he just picked Gaethje apart that entire matchup. I mean, round after round, he was just taking shots before ultimately getting that big knockout in the fifth round there. But looking at this fight too, when it comes down to it, motivation plays a huge role. You have the motivation for Max Holloway, knowing that he wants to continue to climb back up the division after getting knocked out by Ilia Topuria. He wants another chance at the belt. And for Dustin, it's going to be really emotional. So if Max comes out and stones him early in this fight, takes the momentum, takes the crowd out of it, I do think Max has a great chance to win. And get it now, because this price is continually getting worse on Max Holloway.
How do you think it goes? Would you just lay the $1.40, or do you think you can go like I was suggesting a finish for him, knockout, TKO, or DQ?
I think just because of the belt being on the line, the BMF championship, I do think it's a knockout kind of fight. So if you want to get a better price, do with that. But I don't mind going minus 140 here just in case it goes to a decision. I know Dustin's probably not going to want to get knocked out in his final fight. So if we do get that kind of style, and it's tough to tell too. Is it going to be a knockout fight? Is it going to be one where, Dustin just wants to stay up in the end if he's losing? We'll see. I would go minus 140, but ultimately, knowing these two fighters, it's probably going to end by finish.
Tanner, thanks for this. We appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Tanner Kern, DraftKings betting analyst and content creator. We did get some breaking news real quickly before the break in the NBA. Damian Lillard is going back to Portland?
Yeah, I don't get it. So, I get it from Lillard's perspective. He's going to get quite the deal. He's going to have a player option in 2027, 2028. He's going to have a no-trade clause. He's going to get paid. He's going to go back to Portland. I just don't understand from Portland's perspective why a couple of years ago you spent a third overall pick on Scoot Henderson, your guard of the future. Then you acquired Drew Holiday and then re-signed Damian Lillard to potentially block him. I just don't understand what we're doing here from a team building perspective. I get it from Lillard's standpoint to an extent. If you want to do the talk radio thing, do you question whether or not the dude's got the dog in him because he's not going to? It's like, seriously, right? Because he's not going to a team that's going to compete for a championship anytime soon. He's just going back home and getting some money. I think that you can maybe have that conversation, but I think more importantly, it's what the hell is Portland doing? Yeah, and obviously with the injury, expected to miss all of next season. You know who is expected to compete for a championship, however? The UNLV Rebels head coach Dan Mullen joining us next in studio live here at Circa. Don't go anywhere.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
And Follow the Money, Sirius XM, channel 158. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you live in downtown Las Vegas at Circa Resort and Casino, where we are on to day 2 of Mountain West Football Media Days being hosted here. Yesterday, when the Mountain West announced its predicted order of finish, the UNLV Rebels were picked by the media second, so very high expectations for the Rebels in year 1 for new head coach Dan Mullen, who we're very fortunate to be joined with on set today. What's going on, buddy?
No, not much. So our odds are pretty, you're saying the odds are stacked in our favor.
Pretty good.
To get that title.
Yes.
It's a very rare. I mean, look, for a long time, as we've discussed, I think it was 2 years ago at Mountain West Media Day, and Wallington can correct me over here, but there was a rogue voter who voted UNLV first in the media poll. And it was chaos. People wanted to know who voted for him, what happened. But, 2 years later, the expectations are there.
It is. I think, Barry Ohm did a really good job building the program up over the last couple of years. And as you said, the standard of expectations. I've always felt UNLV is somewhat of a sleeping giant in the college football world. You're in the entertainment and now sports capital of the world that has so much to offer. The city's growing so much. And now they have the opportunity to buy into big-time college football. Yeah. And if we can bring big-time college football here to Vegas, I see the city jumping on that bandwagon in a hurry, and you put that whole city behind us and all the UNLV fans around the country. I think we have a product that can be special and a team that can go compete for and win championships, hopefully Mountain West and even beyond, and go compete on the national stage.
Yeah, and I think that you put it really well. Like, this is a team that people have wanted to root for a long time. And now there's this feeling of excitement that's around the program. And for you in particular, in year one, like the pedigree that you have of the programs you've coached in the past and some of the players that you've brought in, how excited are you about this group this year?
I'm thrilled. Now, the hard part, I don't know the league. I haven't been in the league in a long, long time. But I love the energy our guys bring. You go into meeting, I want to see guys, the effort we play with, the energy they show up with every day, every time you come on the field. I really am excited about that group. I think we have some very talented players. Guys are learning the offensive and defensive system. We got, training camp. We report to camp next Wednesday is our first practice. And, I want to see that growth and that next step. I'm excited about the energy, excited about the talent. The tough part is I don't know how good everybody else is in the league. Yeah. So that's, with not having been in the league in so long, how do we stack up against other teams? Hopefully we stack up really well. We have some success and have that opportunity to go compete for championships.
You have to relearn the league in a year too. That's the tough part, huh? When
it's going to change. Well, there's some people staying, some going. Sure. It's college football. Who knows what's, who knows what's going on. By next week, we might be in a, right?
Yeah.
That might change. We still got a couple weeks right now. You guys are going to, play a new schedule.
So you guys do, the roster there's a lot of roster turnover. A lot of the key role players from last year obviously move on to different stops. Completely rebuilding your roster, completely, but retooling this roster that lost so much while also implementing your style, looking for your guys. What is this process like over the offseason for you?
It's been pretty good, but a lot of the guys came because of the style that we play. Yeah. And you look, we're able to bring in, you start at the quarterback position, want to bring in quarterbacks, and I have a great background of developing quarterbacks. You're bringing guys in that really want to be coached, be developed at the quarterback position. Jed Thomas comes back, a running back, is a special player, for us, the leading returning rusher for the Mountain West Conference. Brought in a bunch of talent out at wide receiver to be able to spread the field. So on the offensive side of the ball, we have a good mix of returning guys and new guys on the defensive side of the ball. Had to revamp the entire secondary, but that's the new college football world. I think before people were like, okay, well, hey, year two, you take over a program, and then, in year 2 to 3, it really becomes that coach's program. That's now, it's your team day one, because of the turnover, because of transfer portal, because of what happened. So I'm excited. I thought we've brought in some pretty good talent into this roster. And I think we've done the coaches and the players and the leaders within the team have done a good job of bringing the team together in a short period of time.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, how would you describe your approach to when you have all of these players that are coming in that aren't familiar with each other, that are in a new place, and getting them to buy in and be a cohesive unit and team together?
Well, it's unique, right? Because you had a group that were like, hey, we were on the team last year. You're bringing new guys in that they don't know. Well, then the new guys don't know each other. Some of them do, some of them don't. And it's a new coaching staff. We did a lot with different team activities, a lot of different things of splitting guys into different groups. We did a lot with our off-season teams. And the great thing about being in Las Vegas, there's a lot to do.
Sure.
Right? It's like, hey, the winning team this week, the first place team in our points this week, they're going sitting ringside at UFC, and then next week they're going to Michael Jackson 1, and then they're going to this show, and then they're eating at this restaurant. You go to some small SEC towns, like, hey, first place team, where are you going? Japanese steakhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, first place team next week, where are you going? The Japanese steakhouse. Like, hey, how about next week? the Japanese. But where'd you guys go? Did you do a team outing last night? Yeah, where? At the Japanese steakhouse.
You got to know the name of the steakhouse.
Yeah.
You know, but there's so much going on. So I think that certainly helped. And when we do that, we break up the off-season teams. You make sure, hey, the quarterbacks are in meetings, so they're going to know each other. Okay, and then the quarterbacks are going to get to know the receivers because they throw with each other. And but how do you how does our quarterback become close with our backup outside backer? And so if you put guys on accountability teams together, that they're all working together, having to do a lot of different activities together, and you split them up and do different groups and organizations that way, you really get everybody on the team to network close together and get to know everybody else on the team.
So you've spent a little bit of time on the sideline. Obviously, you guys know each other from working in media.
Yeah, you're slumming it.
Yeah,
you were slumming it with us in the ESPN world, and now you're back.
Well, I'm curious.
That was a lot of.
I was going to say though, you're pretty good at this. It's like you've done this before.
Yeah, I look a little comfortable sitting behind the desk.
Say, you know how to talk into the mic. That works too. Well, I was just curious. In your time off, obviously doing media, how much did you change, alter, maybe working on things that you wanted to implement when you got back into coaching? What was that like for you?
It was interesting because a leper's not going to change their spots. I still am. I'm going to run the program. We're going to develop players. The standard of how we run the program is going to be always the same. I think being away helped over the last 3 years with the changes of the transfer portal with NIL, with that combination of the two, to see it from afar. I don't know, and I think if you talked to a lot of coaches over the last 3 years, they're unhappy. And, and because it kept changing all the time. And it's like, I came back in and was able to get a 30,000-foot view of it, talk to the different coaches, see things. I came back in accepting the new way that things are done, right? Mm-hmm. Accepting that, you're not looking 3 years, 4 years down the road. Like, hey, boy, this we got our freshman. Wait do you see our freshman, sophomore class? We might not be great this year. We'll be pretty good next year, but we'll be special 3 years from now. Heck, those guys will all be gone. In today's world, you don't know where any of them will be. That's the old world. In today's world, it's, hey, you're kind of looking into 1 to 2 year windows. You're still your base of your program. You still have to build a base of a program out of recruiting and recruiting high school players to build a foundation of your program. But you're more looking into 1 to 2 year windows of the program instead of 4 to 5 year windows of the program. And, you had to come in to accept the fact that, hey, you could recruit a kid, coach a kid, invest in a kid, develop a kid. He's going to walk in and say, hey, coach, I'm out. I'm hitting the transfer portal. And, my deal with it, why? Okay, well, I hope you have a good reasoning because I want to help you. If you don't want to be here, that's great. And by the time they're out the door, you're yelling at the GM. You just grab the phone. Hey, we need another linebacker. The kid's like, what? Yeah, we need a linebacker. You got to get some linebackers in here tomorrow. And, it's not a personal deal. And I think, in the old days, coaches, it was that personal investment in every player. Not that you don't have that investment in the kids anymore, but it is, you have to expect that, hey, this player, if he might have a good reason to go somewhere else, and there's no problem with it.
So with all that in mind, why did this feel like the right time and the right place for you to come back into this world?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? You sound like my wife on that question too. No. I get that asked all this. She's in 3 time zones away in Las Vegas. And
don't get her mad at me for bringing it up again.
TV was wasn't TV okay? She's a TV person. It had to. Over the last couple of years, I've gotten calls. None of them really excited me. It was a lot about timing. I love my time at ESPN. I love, the people, a great family. You get to work with great people. You get to network with great people. Really enjoyed all of it. And, it was probably October. I thought, we'll see. Maybe I'll consider if the right, the last couple of years, just nothing felt right. If the right situation presents itself, let's consider it, looking with my, talking to the family. But it had to be the right situation. So I got calls. I'm just like, it just didn't feel right. And if you would ask me 3 years ago, hey, would you be the head coach of UNLV? I said that would never happen. It wouldn't have computed to me. But then, fortunately, I've been coming out to Las Vegas. Somehow like John Cicenti down in Southern Highlands.
Executive director of the Las Vegas Bowl, yes.
Yeah. And the Las Vegas, he gets me. I was his member guest down in Southern Highlands the last 3 years. Huh? Yeah, but he got me out here, so I got to know the city outside the Strip, and I had to have everything. Had to have the facilities, had to be in place. I didn't want to start from scratch. The ability to win a championship was here, and it had to be a place I wanted to live with my family. Check. And instead of trying to talk myself into a job, Vegas. I was trying to think of why shouldn't I take the job, and I couldn't find a reason.
Well, and I can know that we can speak for a lot of Vegas locals that were very excited that you did, and can't wait to see what the Rebels do.
Am I local?
There you go.
I'm local.
He was hitting me with cross streets earlier. He's ready to go. Dan Mullen, head coach of the UNLV Rebels. We'll be right back on Follow the Money.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Back here on this Thursday edition of Follow the Money, Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel in for the guys today and tomorrow. Mitch and Paulie will be back on Monday. We'll be back in our usual spot from 12 to 2 Eastern on Money Moves. Really appreciate Dan Mullen taking some time with us, new head coach of the UNLV Rebels. Although you're giving me a hard time for we took a photo.
Yeah, I'm not going to be happy when that photo is published. Mark Wallington, the SID for UNLV, wanted a picture of all of us. You and Dan Mullen immediately just wrapped your arms around me and pinned me in the middle. And like you guys, I'm going to say, you guys hugged me tightly.
We love you.
And so my hands were like this, and I didn't know what to do, so I just went. I'll get my hands on that photo so we can post it at some point. But that is, I was very upset about that.
God, it's good. The actual photo that has been posted from our good buddy Mark Wallington, who's sports information director over at UNLV.
Likes me that much. But.
I think you look kind of terrified in that photo as well. Got to be honest with you.
I mean, if we're gonna if we're gonna bring it behind the scenes. Again, the middle is just such a weird place to be.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly too,
I've been in that spot a number of times.
I have to kind of lean back because, I'm blocking the guests. So I got to sit back a little so you guys can look at each other. I'm just sitting there. I don't know where to look, especially when people are taking pictures from different angles. It's not great.
Chaos. But we have had, Dan Mullen and Spencer Danielson, head coach of the Boise State Broncos, on the program today, both picked 1 and 2 in the Mountain West media poll. We will also, later on next hour, have Bronco Mendenhall, head coach of Utah State, join the program. Mountain West Media Days continue on here at Circa Resort and Casino. Also, elsewhere in the country, SEC Media Days continue in Atlanta. Theirs is a 4-day, week-long exploration. Big Ten does a longer one as well. I think 2 days is plenty, but I guess even the coaches, I feel like, say, why is this necessary for it to go on so long? Media doesn't stay for the entire thing, but
do what they do. 2 days, knock it out, boom, we're done.
Boom. But SEC Media Days going on in Atlanta, and throughout the course of the week, we've been talking about a handful of teams. We'll continue to do so tomorrow as well, but a couple that we haven't had the opportunity to dive into fully yet. We did Auburn very briefly yesterday, but it was like the last 90 seconds of a segment. So I would like to get a little bit more of your thought process on the Auburn Tigers, and hopefully they have more to look forward to than just being asked questions about Hugh Freeze's golf game. I felt so bad for Jackson Arnold. Well, he's like standing there, instead of getting peppered about like questions of the season, he's like, oh yeah, do you think that Hugh Freeze golfing is impacting your guys' season preparation? What? Leave a man alone.
Well, I also thought it was pointed out by many on Twitter that I guess because Hugh Freeze was going on and on about Jackson Arnold and how great of a prospect he was coming out of high school. Many pointed out that then why didn't you offer him? So like that was fun. Look, I am very interested in this. I think we talked briefly about this yesterday. I thought Jackson Arnold could do very well at Oklahoma, and he was fine. 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, kept the turnover where he plays down. I think in a system and with a group of players, both offensive line and wide receiver, that I think you could argue better than what he was dealing with last year at Oklahoma, especially with all the injuries that wide receiver core went through, that this is going to be one where it is going to be make it or break it for Jackson Arnold, but I think he can make it. Like, I think this is going to be a system that can work for him. I think he's got the talent. I don't know where you were when we got the understanding that he was going to take over, obviously that bowl and then going into next year. But I think that there is a lot to work with here with Arnold. And I think that something like this could make this team a lot more formidable if he pans out.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn had some of the worst quarterback play in Power 4 football last year. So he is going to almost certainly be a good upgrade from Peyton Thorne, Hank Brown, whatever you had last season. Also, the offensive line should be pretty good. Mm-hmm. There's a belief, and I said this yesterday, that this could be the most improved unit in the conference on offense. So a lot of room to believe there. And then, despite being a 5-win team last year, still ranked 29th in the country in defense and should be good again on that side of the ball. So their win total sitting at 7.5. It is juiced -160 to the over, but I'd lean toward this being a 7+ plus win team despite winning 6 and 5 games respectively the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think this is accurately juiced when you're looking at the way the schedule breaks down, how this team is going to look. The big boys, if you will, of course, Georgia, Alabama, you get them at home. The tough road trip, sneaky one out there at Oklahoma, the revenge spot for an Oklahoma team that we've discussed, you think could be pretty good, has yet to appear in our top 25 rankings, but will. That's a tease, I suppose. I think that this could be a very solid schedule. Now, here's the thing. I do think maybe quite a bit hinges on that first game on the road against Baylor. We have discussed this. They're 2.5-point favorites on the road against the Bears, a Baylor team that we just discussed the other day who appeared in our top 20 rankings, our 20th ranked team in our Money Moves top 25. So I think whether or not you're laying that price, a lot's going to depend on whether or not they can pull that off in a coin flip spot on the road against the Bears. But either way, this is, I think, the time where Hugh Freeze is finally going to start to show that he can get this done in Auburn. And by the way, if he does it, I mean, you're 13-14 heading into this year.
Yeah.
And if you have everything in front of you like you do, you mentioned the offensive line, the quarterback, the skill positions, it's hard to make the case that he should be there much longer.
Speaking of the Money Moves top 25, we will reveal 2 more teams coming up in the next segment. What's another SEC team that interested you? We haven't talked about Oklahoma yet. We haven't talked about Missouri, whose schedule, again, might really be poised to set them up for success. Mississippi State has a very low win total. Could they get over that 3.5? Like any of those kind of middle of the road teams that stand out to you? I mean,
it's hard not to go straight to Oklahoma, just because you look at what Brent Venables has coming back here, and this looks like a team that could potentially be a fly in the ointment in the SEC if everything goes right, if you get the play from the positions that you should. This, to me, I think is really, really interesting for what Oklahoma could be. It hasn't really worked out too well for him, but like we talked about last year, when you're talking about the way that Arnold struggled and the way this offense struggled, a lot of it had to do with injury. Like the receiving core was absolutely decimated with injury at one point. Now a lot of those guys are back. Linebacking core is very good. The defensive line brings back a ton of returning production. And when you have a front seven that is experienced and deep for a guy like Brent Venables who's calling those shots, this could be a team that I think is really freaking good in the SEC if they get the quarterback play that they need. That's always going to be the big question, but I like almost everything about this Sooners team.
Well, and I think like you can tell, as you just mentioned, Brent Venables calling plays. He's like turning over every stone to do what he can to get this program back to relevance isn't the right word, but back to that higher upper echelon team that they've been for so many years. Second losing season in 3 years. Before that, they had 0 the previous 23 under Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops. Like, Oklahoma fans are not used to the quality of play that they've seen the last couple of years. And they had they had some bad losses last year, but there's a lot of reason to believe, to your point, that this year they're going to be on the right foot of that. Win total just 6.5 as well. So if you can attack some of those low moments in the schedule, win the games you're supposed to, why couldn't you go over this? Why couldn't you be a top, third level of the conference this year? I
think the argument would be, is John Mateer ready to make the leap to SEC play?
But I like that you bring the OC as well, right? Like that we talk a lot about this, but the quarterback offensive coordinator combo is important. And I think having that continuity for him will be impactful.
Oh, I agree. I think to me, it's more, I'm just playing the devil's advocate of like, right, why are,
we like them too much.
Yeah, if this doesn't pan out, why? And it's like, well, the guy that had 22 dropbacks before last year and then essentially played a Mountain West Conference schedule, now making the leap to the SEC.
Absolutely.
Yes, he brings his offensive coordinator with him, but that's a pretty strong leap. I mean, and
that's why our colleague Tim Murray is not particularly as high on him. So you have some of that dissension on the network.
Sure.
Okay? Just saying.
Of course. No, and I'll invoke one of the teams that I believe is on their schedule there in week 2, which is Michigan, right? Michigan's expected to have Mikey Keene on the roster. I watched Mikey Keene struggle as a head coach, or as a starting quarterback for Fresno State. Why am I expected to then believe that he's going to just make this leap into the Big Ten and be fine? And I think that's a similar question. The difference, though, is John Mateer was great for Washington State. Like, he went out there, he picked them apart. If you look at everything he was able to do, I think that you are very confident, especially with the similar play caller like you're talking about, the same play caller you had last year. And that's why I'm with you. That, to me, is a difference from like a Mikey Keene type or anything like that. I think you can make the leap because you're ready in this system. You're helping guys learn it, and I think that transition can be smoother for you.
Okay, let's go to the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkwitz was on the podium earlier today out there in Atlanta at SEC Media Days. Have you looked at this schedule? Because their first 6 weeks of the schedule, they're at home. There were 6 teams last year in the SEC that finished with a losing record. 5 of them Missouri gets on this schedule. They had a very nice transfer class. Their win total is 7.5, plus 130 to the over, minus 155 to the under. I don't know what you're going to get out of this roster-wise, but schedule-wise, a lot of things are like, could Missouri be one of those sneaky teams because of the layout and opportunity that they have week to week?
I don't know how to read this Missouri team really at all, but you mentioned, like, look at that.
I mean, come on.
On page, just looking that graphic, that is so ridiculous that you should be able to sit back and pick off the easy portion of the schedule. It seems somewhat similar to, I think I've made this comp for your team, the 49ers, right, where record-wise, this team might be pretty good, but from a power rating perspective, where do they truly stack up with some of these teams? You might learn a lot about Missouri, obviously, on October 11th when Alabama comes to play.
And that's the thing, because Central Arkansas to open the season, Kansas, Louisiana, South Carolina, which will be tough, I think at least, but then UMass. Then you get plugged by Alabama, at Auburn, at Vandy. You get Texas A&M at home, Mississippi State, who's got a win total of 3.5, Oklahoma, and at Arkansas, who's another layup. By
the way, and for all this, the schedule, everything like that, all accounts are that this is going to be a quarterback battle, so we don't even know what the most important position is going to look like once we get out of or into camp and what it's going to look like from there. So I will be fascinated. That's the first picture we're referencing here, by the way. This is not the picture where I'm getting absolutely squashed to death between you two.
This is the one where you just look like...
I just don't know where to look.
I don't know. You look kind of like a mannequin.
Look at that
There's no emotion.
Look, the hair looks good.
You do have good hair. I'll give you that. We'll be right back.
Thanks, man. Good work.